LemonAid, freshly brought to you by BlessVision Foundation. This episode is sponsored by Rotary Club of Hong Kong Sunrise. The views and opinions expressed in the following interview are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or position of BlessVision Foundation. Welcome to LemonAid tonight, and tonight I have another very special guest with us, and he is a pastor. He is Pastor John Malcolm, and he is from Calvary Church, Hong Kong. Well, the interesting and the third thing that's really impressed me is in the church like Pastor John, where he's leading, there's over 20 nationalities, 20 nationalities congregation members in his church. And he has been in Hong Kong for 26 years, and he born in India and grew up in Singapore and then served in Hong Kong. I believe he got many stories because in his daily life, he really communicates with different nationalities. It's a variety. And so I'm so glad to have Pastor John here with us to share with us his stories and about what he see, what he experienced. Hello, Pastor John.
Hi, Carrie. Good to be with you today.
Yeah, I'm good to be with you today, too. And I know that you're in your church here is over 20 nationalities.
Yes.
And, well, when you leading this church, is there any interesting things or any challenging things? What will you say?
I think it's both. It's both interesting and challenging because when you have such a number of nationalities, in all our churches that we have here in Hong Kong. And I would say over the years, we might have even had about 60 to 80 different nationalities come through our doors, at one point or the other. So in any setting, we have about 20-something. And it is always brings a very good mix into our gatherings. But that also brings challenges because culture and how people respond to things, how people and what means one thing to one culture can be an offensive to somebody else.
Yes.
Actions or words. It could be, so many different ways.
Miscommunication may happen.
Yes.
How do you deal with this? Because you are the pastor, supposed to leading one.
Yes.
You always, I'm not sure, but maybe standing between here and there.
Yes.
And what do you do?
Yes, it's not easy because everybody would say, well, in my culture, it's okay to do that. Or in my culture, that's offensive, So it's all. I think one of the things we preach and we minister is to teach the people that first of all, as Christians, our identity is in Christ. So when everybody, it doesn't matter what nationality you're from, our identity is in Christ. So we base everything, we deal everything on a biblical base.
Do you have any cases that really impressive to you? How you handle the conflicts or different opinions? Is there any cases you can share?
It's always, sometimes it could be the words that is being used. Sometimes in certain cultures, certain behaviors are okay.
What is the worst case? What was the worst case that you have to deal with?
Sometimes it's words that we use. Certain cultures, people will use a word. For example, sometimes some people might say it's stupid. Okay. For some people it might be okay, but for some culture it really becomes offensive. I'm just giving you this one, for example, this gesture, right? Okay. So people will say, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "What is it?" It's like for some it's a question, for some let's eat, for some let's fight.
Oh wow! It's just like this gesture
like have absolutely.
It's extreme
absolutely.
Meaning.
Yes.
So how to balance the communication? What do you remind us if we need to communicate with different nationalities people?
Well, the thing is this, I think going back, we got, as Christians, we got to come back to the Word of God, for us to remind ourselves, even Paul says, whatever, there are things we all can do, but I don't want, whatever I do, I don't want it to be a stumbling block for you. Okay? Maybe in my culture, me doing this in my culture is okay, all right? It's nothing wrong. But in your culture, if it's offensive, maybe I should stop. If I have a maturity and understanding, maybe I should be more sensitive to you.
Right.
Maybe there are things that you're going to say and do something in your culture that is very offensive to me. I'll tell you another thing. For example, in some of the cultures, Europeans in the church, people like to have, greet you. Sometimes, in other cultures, they don't necessarily greet like the way they would like to be greeted, look into their eyes. You know, one Westerner was saying, and the other one was the Asian person. This Asian person, whenever they shook their hands, they say hello, but they will never look eye to eye.
Oh, yeah.
Have you met that?
Yes,
and,
yes.
And you might have seen that also in Nepal, for example. If you've gone there, people won't look at you eye to eye.
Yes.
You know, that sometimes it's cultural too. You know, so that becomes offensive. Meaning, like, why aren't you?
Why don't you look at me?
Look at me,
right?
exactly.
When you shake my hand, you should look at me,
yes.
right?
So it's not offensive necessarily, but it's just the way it is. You know, so that's that take on it. You know. So what we could do. So how do we solve that problem? You know, the thing is this: if the person realizes we as Christians, what are we to do? Can I do something? You know, yes, my culture is such, but how can I not compromise? But the thing, you know, to do something to not to be a stumbling block. So there are words that we speak. There are actions that we demonstrate that could be offensive to people, or it may not be something which people like. But I think when we understand that, I think it's important for us to say, hold on a second, you know what? For the sake of my brother and sister, I'm willing to do that. Let me deal with. Let me give it to you in a pastoral point of view. Dealing with issues, problems, misunderstandings in a church.
Right.
Certain culture will say, no, in our culture we don't deal like that. We are not confrontational. Certain, you know, because of the way they are, and maybe they just that's also do with personality. But generally, you know, because we have encountered, they'll say, well, my culture, we don't really go out there and confront people. So you have somebody who is quiet, and they are offended and they are hurt, and the other one is like pushing on. Hey, why aren't you guys doing that? Because that's how they are in their culture, you know. And they'll say, well, you know, and you have tension right there, between two cultures. How do you deal with that? You know. So you know, maybe the one who's very strong and very aggressive need to realize that's part of their culture. So how can I get them talking? And this person realizing them being aggressive does not mean that they are hating me, or you know, but you know, maybe they just want to talk with me, you know. And I think it's a maturing of everybody together. So, you know, it's not the end of it, but we'll always have some issues that we're going to deal with. Of course, a lot of things are also intertwined with personalities and of the individual, but also a lot of things are cultural.
What do we have to do if we find out some behavior or our language have been offensive to others?
I think it's good to find out, first of all, it did offend them.
How do we can find out usually? You can observe from their face?
Face, their action. Maybe they'll stop talking to you too much. You know, maybe when they cut out, they will just leave it with you hi and bye. And hold on a second, you talk to me a whole lot. But, you know, I don't know, unless you allow me to say this word, but, you know, I'll write it to you if you allow me this word. But with your permission, I will say it. But
sure, please.
Okay?
Yeah.
You can see this word right there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the thing is this, you know, it's important for us, if it's so, I think as Christians, we're dealing here with Christians, you know, I got to come and say, hey, Karen, is this something that I've done, I said that it's, you know, we're not talking it's like how we used to, you know. I said, yeah, you know, and I'm hoping that you're honest enough to say, you know, that's something that you said. But, you know, for example, I'll bring it out, okay? In this is what, with your approval, I'm saying that it's the word shit right there, okay? In many of the Asian culture, Asian language, we use this word as like, oh my gosh. You know, if you use that in America, that's such a cuss word right there. In Australia, that's a cuss word. That's as bad as any four-letter words or anything. It's very bad. And they get and the thing is, people say, oh, you know, they'll use this S, oh, you know, because it's just an expression. It's like saying, oh my gosh, kind of thing, you know.
Yes. Sometimes it's like expression.
Yes, and that word, you know, like because my wife's from Malaysia and from Singapore, and we all use this, you know, use the word very common, even among Christians.
Yes, because they just expressing their feeling and emotion at that
moment. Exactly. So this is one word, just to let you know. But you know, in America, you know, Christians they will think this is a very bad word.
Very offensive.
Australians, you know, they think that's a really offensive word, you know, and they take offense at you on that. So if they say something like that, and you're not talking, say, if you are that person who knows this word is very offensive, say, hold on a second, and this has happened. So you know, and we got to tell them this word is so common in our culture, you know, and we don't mean by anything.
So we have to speak more, explain more.
So what it takes is for you to understand where I'm coming from.
Yes.
But also it's going to take me to understand, you know what, this word is offensive. So let me be careful. Even though culturally it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Paul the Apostle said. Everything is, you know, permissible, but not everything is beneficial.
Right.
It's not beneficial. Right. You know, the thing, I personally don't use this word for the sake of,
right.
But the thing is, sometimes we use it, and by offending you, I lose a brother, I lose a sister,
right.
I lose a relationship.
Right.
But you know what? If I would educate myself, and that way, you know, say, you know what, I'm going to be careful, and I can use some other words to
replace this and to express your feelings.
I can use some other word, you know, oh gosh, you know, the kind of a thing, some other expression, you know, instead of using this to help the relationship.
Yes. So everything we do is just try to help to build up the relationship rather than to destroy it.
Yes.
I have learned a very good lesson today from Pastor John in this section. And let's have a rest right now. And after coming back, we will talk and we will have keep this chatting with Pastor John again. See you later. Coming back again, we have Pastor John with us. And last section, we have a very good chat about, and I really learned a good lesson, how to communicate to different nationalities. And in this section, because I know in this like 20 years in the previous year, and there is a lot of things happen, the pandemic, the social disputes, a lot of things. And under the situation, I know that the church has stopped for many activities, has cancelled. And what is the changes you can see?
Yeah, thank you once again, Karen. The last year, I think it's been a real unprecedented year, you know, all these years. And I think if you look at it from the perspective of a pastor who pastors the church, to a businessman who's running a business, to a president who's running his country, to our CE who she's running our Hong Kong, to the prime ministers and rulers. Nobody has been in this place before.
Right.
So none of us have been in this place before.
Like a strange world.
Exactly, except for God. So that's a good thing. So God has been in this place before, and you know He knows the end from the beginning, and we know that. So the thing is, none of us have been here, and we have all, by God's grace, navigated through 2020, which was so challenging, so difficult. But also I believe it's how and what we have seen in 2020 is how we have responded. You know, I've heard of people who have responded very negatively to 2020, very negative. And until now, they're just so glad that they got out of 2020, you know. And, you know, there's almost, I'm in 2021, but not realizing what 2021 might also hold for us, you know, all the challenges. But there are others who have taken the challenge at the same time and saying, you know what, this has been my best year. Meaning, not because they have more money or more business or more salary, but no, everything is the opposite. But somehow the perspective changed, and they begin to see, you know, they begin to see more than all the natural things on the superficial and surrounding. They begin to see that their life is the meaning of life. Why am I existing here? What can I do with my life, and how can I be of help? So people have responded differently. That's for sure. You know, and some of the negative side, if you want me to get on that, you know, on things that were going on in the past year, you know, it has really tested a lot of things. In the global, it has tested pretty much our governments. Yeah. You know, how much can our government take? Now it's almost like, what is the breaking point? Our healthcare system, breaking point. Yes. We're talking about all over the world, you know, all the systems that we have in place, the medical system, the healthcare system, the
financial system.
The church system. But let me also bring it down, even our society and even our families. Yes. And even the family. How much can the family take when everybody is staying together for 24 hours? How much an individual can take? Absolutely. Yeah, right. Absolutely. You know, many times people say, "Oh, I want to spend time with my children." Or parents will say, "I want to spend time with my children. I want to spend time with my wife." And now that we have the opportunity to spend time with our wife and our husband and our children, maybe now people don't want to spend so much because they realize that actually spending time with each other has really got people crazy.
Yes.
Really, it's gotten them so crazy because, everybody's on each other. And especially, of course, especially in Hong Kong's context, this is not an excuse, but we can see Hong Kong context because the homes are small.
Yes.
We don't have a place to go out and play and everything in 400 square feet, 300 square feet,
you have
500 square
nowhere
feet.
to move.
How can you move? There's no,
no space.
Yes, and if you have two children, the father has to be on the computer at work, the mother if she's working, and then you have the two children, and you have to have a helper, and everybody's right there, and everybody's on each other's, and you can't go out. The playgrounds are all shut, know, and so much of limitation, and there's fear about going out. There's so many things that are happening, and it really affects us as our society, and so not only we have seen from government, we've seen all the way till families, and I would say even churches. What is our breaking point? And many times we have broken down. Our families have, we have seen in the past year, Gary, that there's been more domestic violence than ever before.
Oh.
Not only in Hong Kong, not only here, but all across the world. There's been more. There's been more fights at home. Domestic violence at home. More divorces.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to. And what happened is the ugliness of the family has also come out. As much as we want to see family together, as much as, and especially, let me take this a bit more further with Hong Kong. Hong Kong, unfortunately, we didn't start with COVID-19. We already started with the political unrest.
Yes.
Already caused a lot of problem.
Right.
And there was frictions between parents and children and friends and family members already. Right. And COVID-19 just didn't need too much. It broke it just like that.
Right.
So just like one sneeze, everything broke. We didn't have like other countries, Yeah. So Hong Kong, we are dealing with a lot more. And one of the things I'll take this opportunity. I'm not here for politics or anything, but I will just say this: that our society in Hong Kong, we need healing. We need healing, Right. This is not about this or that. That's not the platform for this right now. But what I want to say is our young people need healing. Our older people need healing. Young and the old need healing. People need to be heard. Yes. People need, and one of the ways of healing is there's so many things that we could do. But one of the things is giving people a platform to be heard. What are you saying? I want to give you the time so that you can share with me what's in your heart. When you share with me what's in your heart, it's part of the healing that takes place. That you're sharing. You know what? I'm so offended by this thing. I'm so offended by that. And so if you look at it, Gary, I think Hong Kong U came up with an article. I think it was out in a number of South China Morning Post, a number of other newspapers. They said that 75% of Hong Kong people are in some kind of depression. I don't know whether you were able to see that. 70 to 75% of Hong Kong people are in some kind of emotional stress and some kind of, from some of them very severe, some are very mild. But 70%, that means 7 out of 10 Hong Kong people have issues.
Right.
That's very alarming.
Yes, it's very alarming.
And 50% are 24 years and below. You have 70%, more than 70% of Hong Kong people are affected, in depression. And many of them is because some of the contributing factors is self-worth.
Self-worth.
Self-worth. I mean, you think about it. Self-worth is just not because of what's self-worth got to do with COVID. It's already began when we are having political unrest. Because nobody has given you an opportunity for you to listen to you. Who am I? First of all, my parents don't listen to me because I'm wrong. If I go outside, my teachers don't want to listen to me. My professors don't want to listen to me. My country don't want to listen to me. You know what? Maybe my friends don't want to listen to me because everybody has whatever, And I'll tell you, and that brings a lot of people into committing suicide. In our church, just to couple of students, couple of students in our young people, their classmates committed suicide. Yes, and we're talking about 15 years old, 14 years old, the past year.
Old?
Yes.
Wow.
And it's all the stress and the pressure. And I would say it's just not for Hong Kong context. It's just not COVID-19. It's a coupling together of what had happened.
Everything. These 2 or 3 years happened and just accumulated.
And people don't have an opportunity to get healed. Because what's happening, we are moving so fast. Political unrest finished. Now we're going to next to COVID, and next thing is what? We're moving, one to the another, and we're not finding out what's hurting you as a person, like for me to ask, Carrie, what is really bothering you? What are things that you're disappointed about?
You have no time to think about that.
And the thing is, nobody's asking the question.
Because everybody is dealing with it.
Yes.
And everybody is unrest.
Exactly.
And every daily is just thinking, how to deal with today's issues.
Yes.
And how to deal with tomorrow's issues.
Exactly.
We have no time to think about the past or to
Yes.
digest what's the emotions and feelings.
Absolutely.
What can we do?
I think, I believe there are organizations who can really respond to this. But on a personal level, I'll say, I don't think you need to have something big. But I think when you get an opportunity, just talking to people, make them feel like they are heard.
Thank you so much, Pastor John, for sharing with us. Yeah, it's very good. Just start from small, start from ourselves. So listen to others or just doing something, just what you can do, just very small. Maybe just spend time to listen to one children, one student, one popo.
Yes.
They shared, and I will be the healing process will start
Absolutely.
from there. Thank you so much, Pastor John, for tonight's sharing. And I believe this is a very fruitful episode, and we hope that everyone, you have a happy new year. And
Yes.
do you have any encouraging word for us, Pastor John?
Yes, I will. I will say this. Anytime you feel down, don't fight your battle on your own. Don't ever fight your battle on your own. That's my only. I'll strongly say this. Don't fight your battle on your own. Because you got to understand, even though you might feel like you're all alone, you're not alone. There are people around you. There are hotlines you can call. There are churches who can help you. There are organizations like yourself, like BlessVision is right here to help people in times like, even though we might not be professional, we can always guide them to professional help and all that if needed. But reach out and ask. Let me just give this story real quickly. It's in the Bible. The story about in Mark chapter 2 is about these 4 men who carried their friend to Jesus. All right? And that's what we need in our lives. We need friends like that. So what they did was they carried the friend to Jesus because this man was sick, really sick. He can't walk, so they carried him and they brought them to Jesus. And when they came to the house where Jesus was, who was preaching, Jesus was, the house was closed. They couldn't get in. But what they did was they went up on the roof, they dug the ceiling, and they brought him down to Jesus. See, that's what we need. Friends who will not give up on hope. Friends who will lead you to hope that is in Jesus Christ.
Right.
Be friends who will carry you, even though their muscles were getting wild.
Right.
My final thought is this. Seek help. Get true friends who will help you to find hope. That's what we need. And I found my hope in Jesus. And that's a story about also is they wanted to bring this friend to Jesus because there's hope in Jesus Christ and there's salvation in him and that's my encouragement. If anytime you feel like ending your life or anxiety or whatever it is, get help.
Yes.
As soon as you can. Don't wait for one more day.
Right.
Immediately. Like
Yes.
you said, nip it in the bud right there.
Immediately. So every one of you listen to this radio program and you want to seek for help, you can call in 2155-2707, 2155-2707. You can leave your message here and we
Yes.
will call back you immediately. So remember, every moment when you need help, you just pick it up.
Absolutely.
And when you seek, you will find. Thank you, Pastor John,
Thank you.
again. And thank you, everyone. Good night.
Welcome to Cantonese time. 廣東話時間. Flora, how are you?
Money, it's so good to meet you in 超級市場.
What do you mean?
超級市場 means supermarket.
超級市場.
Exactly.
What are you shopping for in 超級市場?
I want to buy some 雞肉 to make fried chicken.
I love to eat 雞肉 and I always order fried chicken with rice when I eat out. By the way, how can I say rice in Cantonese?
We say 飯 for rice.
I love to eat fried chicken 飯.
Let's go and get some choy too.
What do you mean by that?
Choy means veggie. 椰菜 means cabbage. 生菜 means lettuce.
I want to buy some broccoli to make curry. How can I say broccoli in Cantonese?
Broccoli is called 西蘭花.
Flora, thank you so much for teaching me Cantonese again. Let's go and get some 西蘭花 together and have lunch afterwards.
That's a good idea.